Greetings fans, hyperfans, and people just lost looking for videos of cats on YouTube. I am back doing one of these old style videos. It doesn't mean that I'm going to be going back to doing them regularly, but a couple of things have happened that made me want to give this a go. If you can hear any strange noises in the background, it's because I've got my 3D printers running and I'm about halfway through a 20-hour print, so I'm not going to pause those. You've seen me do a whole bunch of different videos very sporadically over the last couple of years because I kind of do like making videos. I just don't like feeding the algorithm of YouTube, so we will see what we see. I'm still working on quite a big Transformers project, which this is a little clue to, and on the whole I kind of feel like I'm almost done with my Transformers collection. I have got a representation of pretty much everything that I used to own as a kid, everything that I used to have on TV when I watched the G1 cartoons, a lot of the characters that I loved from comics, and there's no real glaring holes in my collection. What we're looking at now is Brawn from the Titans Return series, and I was really happy when he came out because it meant I practically completed my G1 Minibot collection. Only one that I didn't have was Outback, who at the time I wasn't too bothered about, but then he became the last one I needed. So if I wanted to complete a set, I would need to get Outback, who was just a recolor of this toy. And I don't like collecting recolors. Yeah, okay, apart from the Seekers. And apart from Sideswipe and Sunstreaker. Okay, there are exceptions, but on the whole, I like to play with new molds. And I was kind of hoping that there would be another version of Outback, but since Hasbro have now started to release the Minibots at deluxe scale, there probably will be an Outback, but he'll be a good head higher than anything else that I want to collect. There have been some third-party Brawns and Outbacks, but they have both been kind of at weird scales or massively expensive, so it felt as though I was just going to have a hole in my collection. Until Iron Factory released their EX-64, which was their take on Brawn at the scale that I wanted, and I thought, okay, well if they're going to do Brawn, they're obviously going to do Outback. I'll wait for him to come out. And they did. And then I looked at it and I thought, this means that I'm going to be getting the cooler version of my least favourite character. So this guy is not only getting replaced, he's getting double replaced. So first of all, I have to say that I've bought both of these robots off of AliExpress, which used to be one of my go-to places for third-party robots, but because Christian is now remembering that it's a tiny island and importing is really complicated, it's not such a good thing anymore. I'd quite happily got one of these guys out of box, second hand, because again, he's kind of a collection filler rather than a prized robot. He's still got the very nice silver paintwork, especially around the head, which is cool. Everything else seems literally just the same in light tan. A few more paint apps on the legs. Yeah, there we go. He's got the peculiar shield thing for making up the back. A lot of what you get on AliExpress are stuff that's been manufactured for Hasbro but has failed quality control, so you get very floppy figures, but he's fine. He's absolutely dandy. Does he stand up? He's got the little heel spurs. I keep on forgetting to fold out on both of those actually. But no, I think that he absolutely does the job. I think Outback ended up costing me about £4, which is certainly not a bank breaker. And yeah, I'm quite happy with him as my Outback. He has a feature for storing either Titan Masters, Energon Cubes, which came from the line gimmick. Transformation isn't too involved. Everything matches pretty well. The paintwork on the roof is a little bit lighter than the rest of him, but otherwise that's pretty cool. And yeah, he's just a nice little utility van for driving around the Outback in. So, as a whole filler figure, yeah, I'm quite happy with him. Now, I've got a good vehicle and a robot mode, and I can use those to actually compare to this guy, who is probably what you would consider the main part of this review. Now, it's 2023, so it's last year's. I got him for a little bit cheaper than he was first listed for. He's got something that seems to be, yeah, so lots of hands, a drill, which I think these were sort of like added in almost secondary, because the actual packaging design just has the bot and actually a pretty big arsenal. For those that care about things, the box is a nice heavy construction, beat paper on the inside, very nicely done. The manual comes in plastic to keep it nice and safe. There is QR code. It's full color printing, but duo color design on the instruction, single sided. Yeah, that's a lot more complex than that. He is in a nice clamshell. Usually I don't bother about having the boxes shipped to me because I'm going to be opening them up for you guys anyway, but yeah, there was no unboxed option, so here he is. So already out of the box, he's looking like a lot beefier than this guy. He is a little bit shorter, but I'm quite happy with that. Brawn's always been far more attitude than muscle. The head sculpt is really nice. It's a little bit more round than the Hasbro one. Got really nice blue paint on the eyes, a lot more defined than the Hasbro one as well. The yellow is a lot darker. I mean, this looks far more like Roadbuster colours. That's a heck of a backpack, but actually, backpack's about the same size as the official Hasbro one had. Articulation looks pretty good. Head is on a ball joint, but rotation is where you're going to get most activity from him. The arms are on, actually it's pretty much ball joints all the way through, but it's got a nice range there with bits that you do have to move out the way. He has 360 waist swivel. He has ball joint at the hip. He has a quite a high knee. Oh, he's got a double joint for transformation. The elbows are on a double joint. The wrists are on a swivel, but they're also, I believe, let's have a look here. Are these pegged on? Or, these are very tiny ball joints, so that you can pull them off and swap them out. I will probably put in the weapon holding hands and leave it at that. Okay. And that's why. Plastic quality feels pretty good. It's a lot more rigid than the official Hasbro ones. It doesn't feel sort of light or cheap. I'm sorry I don't have a pencil to tap it with. The paint is very clean. So I guess all I have to do now is transform him into his little Jeep mode. Okay, so I was going to montage this, but oh my god, this is not an easy transformation. Like, there are these intensely involved tiny bits for toes and side panels, which the instructions really don't give you enough information on. Like, I can just about work out that that is supposed to be the rear wheel cover. I can just about work out that that needs to bend this way so that there's voids to take the fists, which have already popped off about 5 or 6 times. The thigh joints are really intrinsic to the transformation, but they do fall apart really easily. The tolerances are just not brilliant on this. Okay. But I think we're getting somewhere. Okay, so there are some definite bits in here which are not the most intuitive things in the world. For example, the waist doesn't really settle into a set position, and you need to use the toes pushed right in either side of the crotch to make sure that everything aligns. The head needs to be at a very, very certain angle to get everything to come together properly, and the end result, you're kind of still guessing whether or not you have done it properly, because it's a little bit of a gappy mess. Apparently part of this is because there is storage for some of those weapons inside that would hopefully fill things out, but actually, when all's said and done, it's not too bad. Compared to the Hasbro version, it is practically the same length, including the spare tire on the back. A little bit taller, it's definitely giving me proper Land Rover feels, partly because I'm expecting it to break down at any given moment, but He does have space for lots of weapons, like a drill that he used in that one episode, a large cannon that he used in that one episode, and another longer gun which he probably used in one episode. They'll use a very specific square peg. Actually, let's see if, even though it is a very tight, I wish the rest of the robot held together that tightly, even though that's a very solid square peg. No, because these are all 5mm, and I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a 3mm equivalent, but if I can grab something to pull out the other handle, because there's a 3mm port on this one as well. No, it also does not fit on there. Now, this is a 20 quid figure, and if you'd asked me a couple of years ago whether I thought that was going to be too much, I'd have said probably. Now I'd have said probably not, because that's kind of what a deluxe is going for. He is a nice little representation of Brawn. He is definitely far more like the G1 vehicle that I remember than the Hasbro version. I love the fact that he is so significantly different from the Outback mold, and definitely feels a lot more like Brawn than this guy. I love the Land Roverness of him. I would usually complain about this looking way too blocky and having far too many obvious hinges and panel lines on it, possibly reminding me of the very early Fans Project toys, but he is a Land Rover, which is a British car which has been designed by architects and runs on being filled with magic smoke, and I can quite honestly believe that I am going to be moving one of these panels and accidentally let the magic smoke out. He is very cute. He is giving me the serotonin of a new toy in opening this up, in a way that actually opening this guy didn't. Partly because I've already played with this transformation before, but partly because I think this guy's got a little bit more character to him. He is not one I'm going to be sitting with on my desk as a fiddle toy, because the tolerances are just not going to allow that. I'm going to try swapping the hands over, seeing that if he actually still transforms properly, because I would hate to think that we're stuck with those closed fists. And I'm going to see whether I can get the handguns to fit into the vehicle mode and see if that makes it any more stable. So, with those two little modifications made, I have to say, it's exactly the same. The guns fill in a little bit underneath, but it doesn't actually make it any more stable or easy to transform. The fists go in absolutely fine and dandy. So, all in all, I kind of just wish that they had shipped it with those fists and made them a little bit more secure. So, in short, I started with a robot that I was perfectly happy with before spending £4 on him in a slightly different colour, and around £22 on him for a third-party version, which is a pain in the bum to transform. £25 to upgrade a single robot does make it the most money that I've spent on a Minibot, but to me, it's kind of worth it. It fulfills my collection aesthetic. And he's a good robot. He is expensive, he is a little bit gappy. There are a few design choices where I would have quite possibly made different decisions, like whether or not you paint a few of the hinge pieces blue, whether or not you have one more panel, which on something this size is not going to be adding that much, just to cover that little gap at the top. But I'm happy with him. I think he is going to be a nice addition to my toy shelf. I think he's far more preferable to chase down than the Hasbro version, although your mileage may obviously vary. Thank you for sticking with me. Who knows if I'll do another one of these videos, or maybe go through my entire collection with you guys. But until then, stay safe, stay sane, and remember, if you're keeping the mint in package, you're not a toy collector, you're a box collector.
Nice.